In this video, we'll talk about the advantages of utilizing kernel modules. Use ins, mod, rmmod, and mod probe to load and unload the kernel modules. Use mod info to find out information about the kernel modules. Let's begin. Kernel modules. The Linux kernel makes extensive use of the modules, which contain important software that can be dynamically loaded and unloaded as needed after the system starts. Many modules incorporate device drivers to control hardware either inside of the system or attached peripherally. Other modules can control network protocols, support different file system types, and many other purposes. Parameters can be specified when loading modules to control their behavior. The end result is great flexibility and agility in responding to changing conditions and needs. Kernel remains monolithic one, not a macrokernel. Listing modules in use with the OS mod. Most of the kernel features can be configured as modules, even if they are almost always likely to be used. This flexibility also aids in development of new features as the system reboots are almost never needed to test during development and debugging. While other operating systems have used module-like methods, Linux uses it far more than any other operating systems. While the module is loaded, you can always see its status with the ls mod. Let's see an example. You do ls mod, you can always see the status. Module utilities. There are a number of utility parameters that are used with the kernel modules. lsmod lists the loaded modules. insmod directly load modules. rmmod directly remove modules. Mod probe load or unload modules using a pre-built module database with dependency and location information. depmod rebuild the module dependency database. Mod info display information about a module. Let's see some examples. Sudo mod probe sg. This is use this is load a module. Begin a mod sudo mod probe -r sg is remove a module, unload or remove a module. Mod probe requires a module dependency database to be updated using depmod to generate or update a lib modules username that are. Okay, let's do another one. Sudo rm mod sg directory remove one. We load it. See this sg module has been loaded. I don't want to use the mod info. And see the information about this module. Some considerations with modules. There are some important things to keep in mind when loading and unloading modules. It is impossible to unload a module being used by one or more other modules, which one can ascertain from the ls mod listing. It is impossible to unload a module that is being used by one or more processes, which can also be seen from the ls mod listing. However, there are modules which do not keep track of this reference count, such as network drift device driver modules, as it would make it too difficult to temporarily replace a module without shutting down and restarting much of the whole network stack. When a module is loaded with the mod probe, the system will automatically load any other modules that need to be loaded first. When a module is unloaded with the mod probe-r, the system will automatically unload any other modules being used by the module if they are not being simultaneously used by any other loaded modules. Mod info example. Mod info can be used to find out information about kernel modules, whether or not they are currently loaded. You can see an example which will display information about version, file name, which hardware devices the device driver module can handle, and what parameters can be supplied on loading. Let's take a look at an example. Mod info SG. Much information about modules can also be seen in the sys pseudo file system directory tree. In our example, you will look under sys module and some, if not all, parameters can be read or written under sys module SG or SG parameters. Many modules can be loaded while specifying parameters values, such as the first one showing on the screen, or for a module already in a proper system location, it is easier with the second line on the screen. Continue. etc mod probe.d. All files in the etc mod probe.d subdirectory tree, which end with the .config extension, are scanned when modules are loaded and unloaded using mod probe. Files in the etc mod probe.d directory control some parameters that come into play when loading with the mod probe. These parameters include the module name, aliases, and automatically supplied options. You can also blacklist the specific modules to avoid them being loaded. Settings apply to modules as they are loaded or unloaded, and the configurations can be changed as needs change. The format of the files in etc mod probe.d is simple: one command per line, with blank lines and lines starting with the ignore, useful for adding comments. A backslash at the end of a line causes it to continue on the next line, which makes the file a bit neater. Let's take a look at it. Yeah. This is my probe.d file. Okay, this is the end of this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.